Anyway, what's going on, guys? This is our first episode of EXP Share. I am your host, Justin J Dogging, with my boy Kyle, pointing over there that way. That was great. Belated third, Jesus Christ. What's going on, guys? So just to kind of get everybody caught up, actually, you know what? Before I go into that, Kyle,
Yeah.
tell people about yourself.
Hey, I'm Kyle. That's it.
Okay.
I play video games. Hi everybody. I'm Kyle, 96 XCVI, whatever you want to call me. I am the greatest content creator you've never heard of. I have a very varied and interesting past. I've done everything from be a traveling comedian to being a YouTuber to being a league coach to being a VTuber on Twitch. I do a bunch of stuff. My username on Twitch is Kyle_XCVI. If you want to go check it out at some point. A lot of variety content, a lot of comedy stuff, basically about the same stuff you'll be seeing here today, but in a less concise and well put context. So that's me.
Awesome. Love this, dude. Much appreciated to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
I don't know how I would even think about doing this by myself. Last time I tried to do a podcast solo, it did not end good with my mental state. You know how that goes.
No, I get it. I stream to myself and my mom every day. And sometimes that feels like a podcast, you know? You gotta just sit down and start talking to yourself, and you're like, you know, if I weren't live right now, I'd be in an institution. People would put me in a psych ward. So I mean, really that's a fine line.
That's kind of how you have to start out streaming. You know, they say the best way to introduce yourself to like a new community when you're coming out streaming is to talk to yourself, and I cannot do that. So hats off to anybody who does that and still thinks they're sane. Just kind of fill everybody in. We're planning on doing I don't even know where to begin. We plan on doing a lot of stuff with this podcast. Mainly, we're going to be bringing in people to interview kind of their own perspective, I guess you could say, about most of the main games they play. A lot of people will be reoccurring, as we have a lot of people in our community that play an obscene amount of games. So don't be surprised if you see people coming back, switching in and out, because it's basically just going to be, this whole thing is just going to be a conversation about video games, about how we can help the game industry, what you think needs to be added to games. This is basically going to be a platform to hopefully be able to send to, you know, game developers one day and be like, this is what the average player thinks about the current state of the game. And hopefully, you know, maybe one day they'll actually see that, and, you know, we'll be cool and everybody else will get known and we'll actually feel like our opinion matters.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
Right?
Yeah, so just a little bit more backstory. I mean, JD and I have known each other for a while through a bunch of different spaces. We've known each other through esports, through content orgs, through, you know, different games and communities. And we've always kind of had this one just constant. And it's that we were both, you know, fairly critical, fairly detail-oriented people that thought that we might have a halfway decent opinion on half of the things that are going on in the gaming hellscape these days. And one day we just kind of sat down and we were like, hey, what if we just like live streamed it? And so, I mean, here we are. As JD said, the general idea is that we just kind of want to bring people from all types of society in to kind of talk about their gaming experiences, their thoughts. We want to bring in people from the industry, veterans, new devs, artists, a whole bunch of people to kind of paint this general widespread picture of what the gaming industry looks like, what it works like internally, and just generally kind of build a bridge between the two communities, because a lot of times it's like one side bitches at the other and then that side doesn't hear it, and it's frustrating and stupid, and to some extent is always going to happen because you've got the EAs and the Ubisofts of the world that aren't really going to give a shit. But for the indie devs out there, I mean, maybe it'll be an opportunity to kind of share experiences from the common gamer, and kind of get thoughts from people that might not have their thoughts heard normally into the right places. So that's what we're hoping EXP share is going to be. It's not always going to be the most well produced thing. It's not always going to be the most well thought out thing, but it's going to always have the most heart. And it's going to be a good time regardless. I think I kind of speak for JD here as well when I say that a lot of times this is going to come off as just, a couple buddies sitting down having a chat about the gaming industry and expressing their thoughts, and we think there's a future in that. I think it could be fun.
Honestly, couldn't have said that better myself. Thank you for taking that.
Of course.
So without further ado, we have two guests with us. We have Flynn, who will be introducing himself and his perspective on League of Legends, followed by Kitty, who will also do the same thing. And after they kind of go through some of the questions that we have set out for them and ask them to kind of go over and just kind of put some things on paper, we'll kind of take that information, banter about it for about 10-15 minutes, just kind of throwing out opinions based on the information that they gave us. And then after that, it's everybody's coming in, chats open to questions, comments. We'll bring out the interactions. Everybody should get in on a conversation, whether you play League, whether you play other MOBAs, whether you just have opinions on the game industry in general. It's kind of just a whole 20-25 minute segment of everybody just being able to talk together. So fun. How's it going?
Yeah, TLDR. Welcome to the Rito Please episode.
Yeah,
right. So I'm Flynn. You can call me Flynn or Bees. I am a filthy casual League player for the last, I would say 9 or 10 years. Took a couple of years break, but I primarily play ADC. I have a duo who usually plays support with me, or mid lane. My primary heroes, champions. Oh God, the fact that you put heroes.
I don't know why I put heroes.
So I would say my main champion, hands down, is Neeko. I will play Neeko in any lane, like humanly possible. And then Sivir, Caitlyn, and Jinx. So I primarily play ADC in mid, but I also play a lot of Vex. I'll play Alawi, and I'm trying to suck less at Samira. You couldn't catch me dead, though, top lane, without either Alawi or Sivir. And I hate myself for going Sivir top lane.
I kind of hate you for it, too, I'll be honest.
Yeah, but she's kind of unfortunately useless now. Like, her entire kit is hee poke.
That's kind of been her the whole time until you like hit the ult and then you're like, okay, well, hit the gas pedal, we're going.
Yeah, now I can at least chase you. I also realized that I'm more or less going into all of my fun stuff here, but I can also talk about myself here in a second. My playstyle is passive aggressive, so I initially feel like I play very passively. I get very narrow-minded when it comes to farming as an ADC really, really quickly, and then if I'm mid lane, I'm stupid aggressive. All I want to do is kill the mid laner as fast as humanly possible, because I need that leg up. So it really depends on what lane I'm in. I feel like as an ADC, I should be significantly more aggressive because I'm supposed to be a carry champion, but we also know that mid laners are the real carries. Yeah, I think that's most of my thing, I think.
You want to tell us what rank you are, if you're comfortable with that?
No. Excuse me. Heck no. So I haven't played. Oh my God, my voice just cracked. I see. That's how embarrassed I am.
Yeah.
God, Kyle.
I mean, that's kind of telling in itself. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I only maxed out at like silver 1, but that was, I don't know, 6+ years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's not
Um,
embarrassing. That's the general population of league, right? I've seen
right, but
people at all echelons, and I think most of them kind of land up right around there.
if you go to look at my like op.gg right now, it's gonna tell you that I'm in cardboard obliteration level 5. Because don't play this game when you're angry and depressed, kids. Okay, just don't. It's not gonna help you.
Isn't
I'd
that
never be
like
playing it then.
isn't that like 99% of the community?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and now we're gonna get into talking about like the best feature of the game, the mute button. Okay, let me tell you about it. I'm serious because they've added new mute stuff, so you can now mute people in lobby. Thank you. Um, you can report people in lobby, which is great. Although the report in lobby needs to be other than just like trash talking, but it's neither here nor there. You can mute pings, you can mute emotes, and you can mute like chat, and you can mute voice. I don't really know anybody who uses League voice, but that's irrelevant.
You use League voice. I don't want you in my game anyway. I'm
Right.
ditching. I'm out.
Look, I'm a filthy casual. I'm not that bad. I'm not a plebeian. So I do like though that literally, so there's so many ways of communication for League of Legends, which between friends, awesome. When you're not playing with friends, what like the most of us are, because here are my 4 friends. I'm kidding. Who am I? There's a lot of ways to be toxic too, right? So you can have someone actually verbally talking to you, and so you mute the voice chat, which you shouldn't have on anyway, and then obviously verbal chat from your own team, from the other team, because there's all chat. You can get like spammed with pings. You can get spammed with emotes. I mean, there's just so many ways to be salty. So the mute button, greatest thing they've ever invented, or they've ever implemented in their game on multiple different parts.
I agree. Actually, I used to be a toxic little shit. And
I think we all have.
yeah, I think everyone's had their toxic era. You know, my toxic league player era.
Yeah.
It's good that they're giving options. I would like at some point to have a conversation about everyone's thoughts on like the toxicity in league and whether it's actually as bad as A, people say it is, and B, as it used to be. It used to be pretty bad, and I haven't played recently, so I legitimately don't know.
Oh, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. But I've also kind of branched out to other games, and I've realized that it's not just a league thing. You know, people get on League about being the super toxic game. I experienced more toxicity in 1 month of CS:GO than I did in my 10 years of League. It was absurd, and I think it's just, I think it's just gamers kind of suck in a lot of instances.
CS:GO, Overwatch.
But do you think that CS:GO though also has it because it's been around significantly longer?
Partially. CS:GO isn't even the worst, if I'm being honest. I think.
Well, no.
Honestly, the one that stands out in my brain is Apex, and JD knows a thing or two about that. I think Apex, it has both. It's really like this interesting combination of two different communities. One of them is that it has the worst players of any FPS game I've ever seen. I have never seen a game where the base skill level is that low. It's like the bar is on the fucking ground. Okay, I don't understand it. And the worst part about that is that those people are more toxic than others. So you're both the worst player and the most toxic. It's like the perfect storm.
You're like the worst player and the worst player.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get that, and I've had to on a number of occasions just remind myself there's a mute button. Like, what you're probably never gonna play with this human being again.
Yeah.
Remember that they're probably 13, and they're probably also just like myself, not wearing pants. So
oh damn, that's so true.
Right?
Honestly, I mean, shit, if you're playing games without pants on, I don't know how people get triggered to begin with. That reminds me of that meme that used to go around, still kind of goes around sometimes. And they're like, oh no, you're getting cyberbullied, bro. Just block them. What's your problem? Just hit the block button, mute them. Who cares what they think? You know, like, and I've kind of switched because back in the day, I used to get really bothered by people being toxic, even though I was toxic too. You know, I'd fall into the trap. Someone would say something messed up, and I'd be like, okay, you fucking mouth breather, I'm coming for you.
A specific thing.
Yeah, but now I'm like, it pisses me off that you would even think you could do that, considering how bad you are in general. But also, you're like a fucking 9-year-old. I'm just gonna mute you and keep moving. My opinion on it over the years has changed, and that's really interesting to me.
I agree.
Some people are only good at chat PvP, No matter what game they play, it's always chat PvP.
You're playing the game and you're playing the mental warfare in the all chat.
Dragons, my dad worked at Microsoft and he could hack you.
Well, so speaking
Yeah.
of that, though, one of the most interesting things in League that I used to really like hone in on in my time in coaching was that mental game. I mean, you can play League in such a way where you can beat teams way better than you if you just know how to fuck with their brains. We used to have this strat against this one team. It was 2 pro teams, and we would know that their top laner was like a notorious monster in solo queue and like the challenger ladder. And we knew that he was so good at this game, he would just shit on his opponents every time. But we also knew that he was like the most toxic League player at the time on the ladder. And so we were like, okay, what if we just remove him from the game mentally? And so we would commit the first like 10, 15 minutes of the game to having mid and jungle roam top nonstop to gank the shit out of him every time he passed the midpoint. And eventually you would kill him so many times and then flame him in all chat, and he would just not be a part of the game anymore. And so it's the only game I've seen where you can actually wage mental warfare against someone else while playing the fucking game. It's insane how much it works.
The only way to win is not to play. Yeah, Tron reference. Sorry.
The Modern Warfare 2 days. Pre-game lobby.
Those are scary, bro. There's some words in there. I shouldn't even talk about that.
No. That's a whole other episode, my friend.
Oh man. Oh, we're probably gonna get into it later, I'm sure.
Oh,
Kitty,
yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to interject. Flynn, you had like half of your thing left, didn't you? Did you want to go over that?
Sure. I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I just feel like if we want to move on, feel free. I just wanted to make sure you didn't get like overlooked or anything.
Yeah, no sweat. So that kind of also covers the worst feature about the game, which I think is chat of any kind. So I definitely get that. Something that I really like that they've changed recently is the way that they've tracked like the pass. I call them hunt passes because my first experience with it was with I was gonna say Divergent. Crap. What's the name of that game? It starts with a Dauntless. So
Dauntless.
that was my first kind of interaction with that style of like challenges and like specific stuff. So I just call them all hunt passes. Do I know what they're actually called? No. So so I do like the way that they have it now in the League launcher, and the way that they track it with XP. The way that it looks is so much more visually understandable than having it as that weird pop up at the bottom. I know that that's like just a UI thing that I really like, but good for you. You've made a good UI choice, Riot. That's not typical for you. And then my least favorite thing about the game is having played since season 3. The multiple changes to Drake are never balanced. I mean, from when there was just one dragon, who remembers those days? Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then they started rotating the drakes with the original 4, right? And they would go in random order, and then they introduced Soul, and then they introduced like the other 2, Hextech and
Chempunk.
thank you. Chemtech and Hextech. Chemtech? Chempunk? Anyway.
Chempunk is the item. It's Chemtank, yeah.
Yeah. But just all of the new drakes, and then Elder Dragon being like, you could basically be losing and get Elder Drake and
then just come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I do really appreciate that there is a certain weight to objectives now that there wasn't in season 4, 5, 6. But Drake is just so overbalanced. Or so over. Yeah.
Like I feel like Infernal, and I think the least impactful to me personally is like the Water Soul or the Ocean Soul. Like if I want soul, I want the one where it gives me the hex tech where it
Burn.
gives you like the AoE, the old static shiv, or the empowered like auto attacks with the AoE with the flame. I don't really want the enhanced movement speed.
So I've got a question for you guys that's kind of relevant to this.
Yeah.
If they introduced a mechanic in League that was like there were a series, how many dragons are there now? 5, 4?
4 and then 5 for the elder.
Okay, well, so
I
say
think.
there was
No, there's-
some sort of mechanic on the map where you could do certain things to influence what dragon would show up. So, say there were like, for the sake of conversation, like 4 totems along the map or 4 specific monster camps, and you could go kill those. And whichever team killed one first, it would guarantee that that would be the dragon that would spawn. Do you think that would be a good idea, or do you like the random like RNG quality to it?
I think it should be like a vote, like a game lobby vote.
So
Yeah, because I feel like it would
I
add a
think that's
lot of like pre-game chaos to try and get everyone to fight for that one objective that was needed to determine what dragon. When I mean, they already have a vote to do the dragon. Why not just have a different or change the vote so you can just help decide what dragon instead?
I mean, that
I
might
think-
actually work in a sense because I know, and this is just coming from League production experience, watching way too many League games than I ever wanted to see. Um, but I think there is some. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is some aspect to, um, I guess, determining what the next Drake is going to be. With comparison to what it was that you just killed. So like if it's Inferno, it's only gonna be 2 out of the 4 instead of any of the 3, correct?
So, like, yeah, I know because like if it'll give you 2 random ones, and the third one is the soul, which is going to be guaranteed every time afterwards.
Yeah. So I mean I see where Kyle's coming from, but it's like it's kind of character and composition based too, right? Because one character is going to thrive off the Inferno, where another character is going to thrive off Ocean, per se, kind of. So I guess
That's
it would
why-
have to be kind of like a pregame thing then.
I mean, but that's when we're talking about getting further than someone who's in silver, gold, that kind of thing. But when we're really looking at team comps as a really big measure of how the game is going to go, I feel like you also have to bring in what's going to be beneficial for the entire team. And now when you're planning team comps, now you can then maybe in the same format plan, okay, well, if we have this team comp, we're going to want Ocean Soul, we're going to want Hextech Soul, or whatever, what would
Yeah.
benefit the team comp that we have. So does that go into team comp in the beginning? I kind of actually like what Kyle was talking about. I feel like instead of it just being like one objective and that objective triggers a specific dragon, it could be like, honestly, it could be the order in which you clear jungle camps. It could be what lane you gank first. I don't know how they would like measure that, but it could be things that you're already doing, but you have to do them in a specific order. If you
Yeah.
grab Hop Scuttle Crab first, or if you grab both,
Well,
stuff
then
that like matters in meta play, instead of like, okay, let's fight over now a third main objective between Baron slash Rift Herald and Drake.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
then
think-
make that kind of like countered to like, because it's all about scouting at the end of the day. So like, you see one team's going for jungle camps to get, Infernal Drake spawned. You can counter on your side with jungle camps to, counter what they're doing in terms of, like you said, the order of the jungle camps that you clear. That would
Yeah.
actually be kind of cool.
I think my only issue with the voting thing that Kitty brings up is you have to understand what the core principles of League are as a game when you approach a design element like this, right? And the two things that I've always kind of taken home is like League selling I don't know, qualities are A, player agency. Everything in League of Legends is decided by an individual's actions, their ability to come together as a cohesive unit despite everyone being an individual, and dictating the pace of the game, of the map, like that. And the other thing would be over objective control. It's over the things that you do to fight for what you get. It could be anything from literally just going to take a dragon to where you rotate on the map, where you put pressure, things like that. I mean, there are certain things there. It's a give and take, risk and reward. When you introduce this idea that you can vote for a dragon, it kind of goes against the gameplay philosophies of League of Legends in its entirety. Because at that point, you're not adding a mechanic that's helping people decide. There's no skill check in that. That's just asking people, what do you want? Well, ooh, woo, little League player, do you want Cloud Dragon today?
Yeah,
And then they
I think
take it and they put it up.
along the lines, I also wanted to like include the vote because if we're doing the objective things, then it kind of really just depends on what the jungler wants to do, and I kind of don't want it to be a jungler only thing, especially if there's someone who's only just learning jungle. Like I don't know
Yeah,
how to
and
play jungle, and
that's
there's so many mechanics I don't know, and I don't want that decision on me. I'd rather have other people's inputs and then do what other people want.
Yeah, and that's kind of hard, right? Which is why the thing that I brought up isn't necessarily a one answer wins all type of thing either. Um, my overall answer to the dragon thing, and I brought up that question just to kind of see what you guys would say and what your input was. My answer is a secret third thing, and it's that I think it's perfect the way it is. I think that it's always going to be RNG, and obviously RNG doesn't always work out for people, but um, adaptability is huge in League of Legends. Being
Yeah.
able to make decisions on the fly, being able to decide what to do, when to do it. I mean, that's literally at the core of the entire game. If you make a wrong decision in one area, you can throw an entire game. And especially at the highest levels of play where everyone is, about the same level to an extent. You need certain elements in the game that can drive it one way or another. And I think that's where the Drake really shines because you can't plan around it to start the game. It's something that happens. You have to adapt, you have to come up with a plan on the spot, and you have to figure out if it's worth it for your team or for your jungler to go and grab it, to
Yeah.
call, to allocate all those resources to one place. And
Bring up a
sometimes
good
that can
point there,
create,
too, with
yeah,
if
and
it matters. It's like, oh well, it's just Mountain Drake. It's the first one. It's not really going to help the other team.
yeah.
It's definitely not going to benefit us. I don't care if they take it because then we can take Rift Herald or something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Being able to like read the pressure on the map. If one team decides, hey, you know what, this Cloud Drake is up, we really want that. We need to make sure it works. They're going to go down there and they're going to fight around. But a seasoned League player will know, oh, well, we may not want that dragon, but they're going to want it. And if they do want it, then we can position ourselves in such a way where we can benefit even more than them off of it, where that we normally wouldn't be able to get without like a fight, without a pick, without an outplay. It creates environments in which everybody on the map can adapt. And I think that is worth the RNG because I'm not a fan of RNG, especially in games that are skill based. I love me some TFT, but it's like straight up, it's RNG to an extent, and I can't do it. I don't like that. I'm the kind of loser that would rather play chess instead or something. But I
Hey,
think
nothing
in
wrong with
this,
chess.
well, true. I think in this specific instance, the RNG actually works really hard towards nailing down this core identity of League of Legends in that your decisions mean everything. Even in a map where things are constantly changing, where you don't know what to expect, and not everything might go your way, you still have a choice, And if you could just pick what it is, I mean, you get a very surface level vote in the early part of the game to vote what's happening, what dragon's coming up. But I think that just goes against the grain of what League of Legends is,
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I also think just on a side note here is that having another option to vote. One of you, I mean, and this has happened to everybody. You're sitting in a game. You're at 45 minutes. You're barely still alive. They're fighting in your base. You're done with the game. All right, it's gonna end.
Yeah.
You go to surrender, and one Douchebag. Makes it a 3v2.
Oh yeah.
A 3v2 vote. And you're like,
Mhm.
seriously, what do you get out of the last 15 minutes of this play game? Because this is going to be a 60-minute game that we lose.
Yeah.
There
Now I
is
think
In
like
comes the trolls.
so I'm saying but my point here is voting doesn't always help anybody.
yeah.
So I just think it's another way to troll if it's going to be a vote. Have you ever said the wrong thing in like the beginning lobby chat, and then they just,
Everybody just loses their mind.
you know what? And it affects the rest of the gameplay. You get trolled, you get pinged, you get whatever at the beginning of the game. God, this is basically just ranked at the bottom tier, by the way, for
Mhm.
anybody who wants to know what Cardboard 5 looks like. So I think having another thing to vote on is just another way to troll.
Now I do think that Kitty's onto something though. I think that there is a quality of that is actually a really interesting mechanic, and it kind of leads back into being able to decide one way or another what dragon shows up, because you can turn that into something that is still requiring adaptability on the part of a team, which is why I started this with the question, like, if there was something like totems or whatever where you could adjust your play style around them to determine the flow of a game, if that would be a good idea. And to me, that's like the middle ground, and it's not perfect. There's things you could change. I mean, it's like literally first draft, and every first draft is shitty. But the difference to that for me is that there is team action required. Someone has to make a decision. You have to decide, you know what? Is it worth it to dictate what first dragon is going to come up? Do we want to fight over that? Or do we want to focus on something else while they're putting their eggs in that basket? I mean, it could very well be the case where you're like, okay, well, their jungler and their support are going to run to whatever objective in the enemy's blue side, jungle. While they do that, we know they're going to be fighting for that. So we're going to send a bunch of our force top lane to get that tower early, bank that extra money, get set up for Rift Herald, and just kind of try to snowball that advantage into something greater. Any good League of Legends edition is going to work off of that idea where it gives you choice, or at least the illusion of choice, which is what Dragon does. And the vote itself, while it may not work, if you can transfer that into a gameplay mechanic where it affects the flow of the game, the agency of the players, I think suddenly that becomes a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I think a voting system could be implemented if it was on, I would say, maybe a somewhat smaller scale. So, for example, if you were to vote on which totems were to show up, and you need like a specific two, to populate Ocean Drake,
Mhm.
and they do different buffs in and of themselves, like almost like micro jungle buffs for the team.
Yeah.
And then once you take those, you have to vote on which camps to spawn. And then, based on, and there obviously has to be some overlap based on, what people choose. Is it going to be, there's two different ways to get, or there's each one set of ways. It's kind of like the Lux elemental skin, right? You can start with one,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of other. Yeah, of course you like that.
Now you're talking my language. Now I understand.
But like seriously, so if you have you have the four basics, and then you can choose the four basics again, but depending on what order you do them in is what ends up happening. So it's not like, okay, you're stuck with, once I've picked just this. Like I've picked green pillar. Well, now I'm stuck with doing green pillar again. No, it's like, okay, well, green pillar can build into whatever. I
Yeah.
think voting on what pillars showed up. So there's
Maybe.
a little bit,
Or
and
maybe
then there's
like,
still a little bit of the adaptability if something happens.
yeah. Or maybe like
Yeah.
instead of having the after the first two, the final are set in stone, maybe just like randomize again which ones spawn again, and so that way you can at least diversify your options in power. Instead of just having to do soul, you could still just determine, oh, we want this dragon. Oh, like you have the options, like you have like say Cloud Drake went to blue, and then Earth went to red, and then it would still be a different one the next one. So like fire, it'd be whoever got it, and then the next one would still be different. So it'd be the air, and it'd be fair. That you'd be guaranteed the first 4 in a rotation. So that way you get a little bit of everything in the stats that it gives at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, there's a bunch of ways you could make something like this work. I mean, if you really wanted to all in like the vote thing, a real easy way to do it would be
Just
I
vote
mean,
before champ select after everyone
well,
picked their champs,
Yeah.
and then
that's
it'll
kind of
50-50.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, if you, I mean, imagine if you had something where you could like pledge allegiance to a dragon or whatever. Like each dragon.
America.
I know, right? It
The
sounds
American
weird, but
dragon.
like imagine those games where you have to like pick a god that you are loyal to, right?
Right.
I mean, what if like on your profile you picked one, and if you picked it, it gave a certain percent chance that dragon would show up
It
first,
sways
and
the
then
game.
it takes
Yeah.
everyone's
Cool,
into
That,
account.
that would be actually cool, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then it would be like, okay, well, 4 people have the Cloud Drake as their like allegiance, so there's an extra like 40% chance that that'll be the first one. But you can't know for sure because it's always got to be different to some extent.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it could be, I mean, people are always talking about the volatility of the jungle, about it being like too complicated or not complicated enough. I mean, it could literally be a thing where the way you jungle, the path that you take, or the decisions that you make as a jungler directly influence the spawn rate chance of certain drakes. And I mean,
But
that would make it awful for bad junglers, because then you're like, oh my god, look at this dumb fucking jungler spawning the Cloud Drake. What an idiot. But
well, and
I mean, I
Chat
think it
had
could
a-
add a
So-
certain amount of like thought.
Chad had a good idea. Bud said it should be first as random, and then whoever gets Drake, the Drake kill, can select what comes next.
I don't
So
think that's a great idea.
Because
Be-
then you
Real
still
quick.
have to determine who gets the pick on the team, and if you make it a team vote, then you still have to deal with the vote situation.
Yeah, and JD, I don't mean to cut you
So-
off. Sorry, I'm gonna
no,
make it
you're
quick.
good. We're
I think-
just going all over the place. Keep
Yeah,
going.
we need to go back to touching on everything everyone had and move along. But one final thought: League has a big problem with catch-up mechanics. Sometimes they're too much,
Yes.
sometimes they're not enough. If one team gets an advantage, you should never reward them with anything greater than the base reward. The buff for the dragon is a big enough buff in itself that if they then have the chance to turn around and decide which one comes next, you're giving them a huge advantage that is incredibly hard to come
Yeah.
back to. And I know they don't get the buff when they pick it, but if they already have that buff,
And they're just like, if they have bot line priority permanently, then you could just
exactly,
get, like,
then
kiss
you
it
just
goodbye.
control the whole flow of a game from
That's
start to finish. There is no catching up to that in certain circumstances, you know.
Yeah.
But I think what we've kind of hit on is that it's a complex system. You know, I'm not sure there's any one answer that works.
I like the randomness already.
I do.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it's too bad an idea. I think that there are ways that they
I
could
just
make
think
it
it's
different.
unbalanced.
I think in order
Viamol,
for
bring back Viamol.
I think in order for League to be like a game for the next decade on top of the decade it's already been here, they're going to need to make some big sweeping changes to how the game works to kind of switch it up. And they've already kind of been doing that. I mean, the Drakes are like their first big change. So I'm interested to see what choices they make moving forward, and whether they make any changes to like the Drake system or not. I know Dota just had a really big like gameplay overhaul. I've been seeing it all over.
Yeah, and we were talking, segueing a little bit back into the conversation though is, something that we talked at length about what we would like to, if we could add something in. But me specifically, I have 2 qualms, and that is Sivir is my bae. Give me my mana spell shield back. Okay,
Real.
period. End of story. And then Invisible needs a nerf. I will permaban Shaco for the rest of my life. Thank you. Good night.
Damn.
I can't stand him. I just don't understand. For me, I just don't.
What if I told you that one of my good friends is the best Shaco in the world?
That would be great. I
Chase
would
Shaco?
still ban
No,
him.
not Chase.
Still ban him. But those are my 2 qualms. Okay, we don't need to have a conversation. Give me my mana spell shield back. That's all that matters.
Okay.
I
Um,
agree with that. I do. I play Sivir. She's on my mastery list, but I
Yep.
actually do agree with the man because there's supports out there, and you have potions that you have supports that heal, you have potions, you have the heal ability. Mana is just a hard thing to keep up with these days.
Right, and I get it. I do. Like she needs more sustain because she has none, but no. There are items. There's if you really need to, you build cringe bow. You sorry.
Cringe
Um,
bow.
you know, if you really needed to, I really even hate building shield bow on Samira, but that's like you have to. Uh, but I don't like building that on Sivir. Give me my mana spell shield back. All right, just that's. I don't need more healing. I
I
just
like
don't.
that Gale Force wasn't in the options either. I like that. I respect that. That item is so useless.
I mean, it is.
Because if you dash, they're just gonna
I've-
dash back on you. Or flash.
I mean, I have used it a couple times really successfully, but that's because cardboard 5. So
Yeah, exactly.
outplays. My ideal team comp would be so my support, my duo is typically hyper aggressive. They're honestly gonna do like 99% of the work. I'm just gonna farm and ignore him completely, and then come in and steal the kill from him. And
Damn.
and sometimes it's flipped. The script is flipped. So I'm still the ADC, but I, for some reason, get in this mode where I'm just going to poke the shit out of this asshole. And then my support walks up and just goes, hee hee. But that's also because he plays supports like Wukong.
What? I
and
get it. I
Shen.
understand. No, I
Right.
understand. I actually understand.
So I'm just there to get items so I can base race these assholes, and then I'll let my support take the kills. I don't need that shit. So my favorite jungle, hands down, is Hecarim. Please Hecarim me all day. All right. I'm gonna
I
take my
also
horse.
know the best Hecarim in at
Oh
least
my.
North America.
Well,
Dante's?
At
I'm gonna
least.
take
No.
I'm gonna take my horse on the road to gold. Okay, that the Hecarim better be in my game every day.
Yeah.
Mord top, Shrek people, pull people into that shadow realm and let them never return. And Vlad just counters so much. And he is so tanky towards
For
even
no
just
reason.
for like level 14, level 15, and he's tankier than some Volibears. Like it's just unbelievable, and he just counters so much by disappearing. So that's my ideal team comp. And this is gonna segue right into Kitty. Other things I would like to talk about. Stop giving Lux skins. As of today, she has 18 skins. I asked Google before getting in chat. Stop it.
Listen, I'm in like I'm in a similar camp. Ezreal is like my favorite character, and he has so many fucking skins. But
He has 17.
I had
Let's
every single one of them when I
go.
stopped playing. Every one.
Well, I'm over here crying in Sivir can't be
Oh,
a
she doesn't.
completionist because packs.
That's a good skin though.
Yeah, it's a fantastic skin. When am I gonna get it? Never.
Yeah, never.
Never.
okay, though.
Not even in box. It's not in boxes. It doesn't have a shard. You cannot get it.
I honestly like that though. I like that there are certain things
That you
that
can't get just from
yeah, well, so the way they gave it out, I don't like. I don't like that it's like only people that showed up to PAX, because then it's like, oh well, you have to have money, you have to be able to travel, whatever. But if there's like I mean, that's why prestige skins are kind of cool, because if you work your ass off, you can get one. I don't think the system is perfect, but I do like exclusive cosmetics in games that you have to work your fucking ass off to get, and then they're never available again.
Yeah.
I do like that they've added the prestige shop.
Oh
with
yeah.
Mythic Essence, because before they made Mythic Essence important, I hoarded that crap. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting on like 600 Mythic Essence
Oh
for no
my.
reason. For
I
no
have-
reason.
I have
Meanwhile,
15.
J Dog over here with no
I'm zero.
non-default skins.
Yeah, JD, like I like to run it classic.
Dude, gotta keep it classic.
Yeah,
And
it's
Sterling,
a
Pizza Sivir all the way. So my support and I used to play what we nicknamed Pizza Planet. So I would play Pizza Sivir and they would play Lux with the solar spooky galaxy. What the
Cosmic.
fuck is nope, the other one.
Dark Cosmic.
Nope.
yeah.
Space Groove.
No.
Space Groove. Thank
It was
you.
a 1 in 3 chance.
So Pizza Planet, I'd play Sivir Pizza Sivir, and yeah. And then it's Pizza Planet. That was our Pizza Planet lane. What do you want to do? Oh, let's do Pizza Planet. You
I
know,
like that. Yeah,
That
like
kills me.
the Toy Story.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
So Fox, one of my mods, is in chat right now, and he's like level 7 in League of Legends, and he hates League of Legends. We've tried to get him to play it multiple times, and he says, "Christ, even I have a non-default skin." JD, what are you doing, dog?
Fox is-
Bro, I don't even have a freaking Fortnite skin, if that even says
Oh,
anything. Like,
okay.
dude,
That-
like,
so you just have mental illness, is what you're telling me right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Okay. Well,
wait, that
we can
wasn't
just write you
obvious
down.
already? That wasn't
We're here in this
obvious.
chat on a Sunday afternoon. Listen, I
shit.
don't hate it. I'm just bad at the game.
See, he says that, but I'm gonna put him on blast for a second. It's totally unrelated, and after this, we can move to Kitty's thing.
Kitty,
He
please.
says he's not good at it,
Yeah.
but MOBAs in general, especially League of Legends, are games that you have to put time and effort into to get good at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We
I'm
have
slammed
not
bad.
managed to get further than one day at a time with weeks in between of playing it because he's like, this sucks. And so we just, I think he hates it. I think he just wants to pretend he doesn't hate it though.
It's a good concept, bad execution.
Yeah,
This
sure.
is like Squidward hating Krabby Patties. We
But
know.
honestly,
Jesus Christ,
I don't
Ron.
even blame him because the new game, like the new player initiative, the new player system for League of Legends is fucking awful. You get
They do
into
so
games,
much, yeah.
well, you
And
get
they
into
don't teach you
games
how to
with
play.
like, yeah, with people with no brains and bots, and then eventually you just break out into games with people that have like 1,000 hours, and you just get shit on so hard that you're like, how could this ever be fun? And you don't get to a point where you have this back and forth where it's a battle of like wits and mechanics and all this different shit until you've got like 100 hours in the game. And then
Yeah.
you get there and you're like, holy fuck, it all makes sense. But to get there is insanely hard because it's just straight up not fun before that point.
Well, that
Not
also
anymore.
kind
It
of
used to be.
relates to just like getting people into games in general. Because like, just kind of go off topic a bit before we jump into Kitty's. Is one of my roommates, I just built a PC for her, and of course, one of the first games we played was Apex Legends. She's like, I want to play Apex with you guys, and they have kind of like an introduction bot system, just like a, like I think Fortnite has it. A lot of mobile games have it. They just throw you in bot lobbies, but it was only like 5 games worth, and we finished those 5 games, and then we were just thrown straight into normal queue, and she's just like dying every 2 seconds. It was like, how are you gonna only do like 5 bot lobby games and then say, oh, this person is fine, let's throw him into the ring, and then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, I fucking hate this game now, pretty much.
Yeah. But what I'm curious about is like, how do you fix that? Is it a case where it's that the games are doing it poorly and there needs to be a better system for like
That
new
is a
player
whole-
onboarding? Or is it just the case that some games are just made for people that can stick them out? People that already have skill necessary, that they've been through the process, they've been forged by fire and they come out on the other end, and that's just who it's for. I mean, should we just be okay with that?
That's a whole other podcast, my dude.
That's fair.
For
We've
real.
already gone through ones with the dragons, please.
Like,
Yeah.
but no, but I mean, seriously though, talking about a new player commission or like committing and engagement, it's something that I think about a lot as being part of the logistics team of a live action role play here in Northern California.
Mhm.
And it's and getting people to actually want to come back. So I have big thoughts about how people use their brain. I also called a hydrate like 20 minutes ago, so
Oh.
drink your damn water.
I
and
did, thank you very much.
yeah,
Do it again.
do it
I
again.
need to watch.
And but I think Kitty has some really interesting views on League. So
Yeah.
let's
Good segue.
Yeah,
Kitty, tell us about
yeah.
damn.
Yeah. Woo. About time.
Oh my god.
My name's Kitty. I've gone through many usernames. I don't know. Don't ask me how I figured it out. I got it. When I first started playing League of Legends, I remember playing Morgana and Sivir, ironically enough, and I played before they like unleashed the level 30 cap. So I was playing before they made it 31 and up. So I was level 30 only.
Remember
So
those days?
God, they were so good to an
Pepper
extent.
Tom remembers.
So then I played bot games. I have around 800 bot games now. I played bot games until
That's
I was
absurd,
around
by the
level
way.
28.
That is absurd.
This was
by
my
the way.
first PvP game
I
ever.
made it 8 deep, and I was like, if I have to play another one of these, I will literally fucking end my life.
I was having the time of my life. I don't know how, but I have 6 losses, but I was having the time of my life. And so I remember years ago, it was, I don't remember who, but I met some people. This was when Skype was around. So I met some people. They wanted me to play PvP lobbies with them. And I was like, you are out of your mind if you think I'm doing that. And they were begging me and begging me. And then I think I played one, and then I never talked to them again. I hated it. I despised it. I cried. So then I don't know what really made me leap into the actual PvP aspect, but I did. And then I think I took a break because I got tired of it. And then Zaya and Rakan were releasing, and I was like, sold. Put me back in. So thank you, Zaya, for making me go 4K in debt. Anyways.
Jeez.
Before Zaya released, I ended up doing Lux in PvP, and that's why I have around 580,000 mastery points on her.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Holy
And
Yeah.
then my second highest is Zaya, and I think I just hit 510k with her. And then Ari is like in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Like there's a huge gap about who I play. So, but I enjoy playing them. I hit gold 1 when I was doing Lux mid, and then they did the change where her E, if you had lost chapter, would one-shot minions, and I was happy. And then they reverted it, and I was so upset. I hated the game. I never forgave Riot Games for that. Never. So then I have a bunch of others. I play support. I think I enjoy support the most, honestly. I got ADCs. I didn't put Kai'Sa on my list. Kai'Sa's on my list. I've just got a lot of experience, and I think I just have more sentimental attachment to female characters. Not to be like stereotypical, but I just like how they look compared to the other characters. But then there's
Perpetuating
champs.
the stereotype, Kitty.
Yeah,
Jesus.
just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a hint. But then there's champs like Zaya, where she's not just girly and pretty. She actually is like the leader of a rebellion. Crazy. She's super awesome and cool. And then you have Lux, and she's like, oh, I like light, but I'm also being like shunned by my own like region. And I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
she let a murderer out.
So what? She can fix them. Anyways.
Damn.
I haven't played a Mage Seeker yet, but I wanna. But then there's champs like Milio and Bard that are the cutest things ever. Love them. I love their play style, but I just suck at playing them. I mean, I don't really play Milio that much, but Bard, I think I've had one mastery 7 shard for over 5 years.
Dang. I do want to make one point before you move on, before we get too far away from it. I think Ezreal would lay Chain Man out. I think he'd fold him. Sylas.
So it's like Ezreal versus Sylas because
Yeah.
they're fighting over Lux.
Yeah. I think Ezreal
Good.
would fold his ass like a piece
With
of
the
fresh
gauntlet
printer
or
paper.
without?
Obviously with it, but I mean honestly, that's like classic like anime protagonist antagonist shit. Ezreal's like the fucking.
That's what I want to see you.
And then
Yeah.
there's the creeper in the corner, Zoe, going, I'm obsessed with you.
Yeah, for
Real.
real. I play Zoe too.
There you go. So
Good.
are you
They
telling
should
me
all
that
be
you
voiced
just
by
play?
Kitty.
I was gonna say, do you all just? God, my brain is not working. I am so sorry.
She only plays lore accurate champs, only the ones that are connected to each other. If it's not connected to those people, she's not touching it.
So you only play people that are in some way, shape, or form attracted to Ezreal.
No. No.
True. Sylas is attracted to Ezreal, I bet.
I don't play Sylas. I just bought the border because
Yeah,
the
but I'm
border
saying you
bundle
should
was
start.
$250.
Oh, so you don't play him, but you bought his stuff anyway?
Because it was Twitch Prime RP. What was I gonna put? What am I gonna do
Save
with
it
that?
for
Buy a
skins,
chroma?
Kitty. Why would you buy skins for something you're never gonna play?
Do you not see? Well, okay. There's the Google Slides if you want to like link it in the Twitch chat so people
Oh,
can
I
see it.
saw him.
don't
I
mind.
watched him for
But
10
there's
minutes
the
today.
set. The like all those top laners. I don't play any of those top laners.
You're digging your hole deeper. That's making it worse. Why do you do that?
She's
But
got to
that's what Spirit
justify the
Blossom said, it
4K.
was cool.
Because I have nothing to spend my money on, is what she's
Yeah,
saying. She's saying,
yeah.
well, I just like buying stuff that I'll never touch or use or see.
No, but if I ever do end up in that lane, then I know who to play.
I mean,
That's fair.
Someone with a border.
I mean, at least with things like League of Legends, you can actually see your skin, unlike Apex, where you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, I can see my character's hands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Apex
it's
has this
valid.
weird problem where the skins for the characters are pretty fucking ass, most generally. You can't see most of them. The gun skins are somehow worse, and the only things that are worth getting are the heirlooms, and those are like $150 minimum to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's like the greatest scam of all time.
Like at least you're you're able, not guaranteed, but you're like able to reroll like a prestige or a mythic. You're not like in good odds for it, despite
Yeah.
the fact that I've done it 3 times in one day. Minor flex, but like I think it's just cool, you know, because I mean, like the borders, I never actually bought those borders with the RP. They were just tokens
Mhm.
with the tokens. So like, actually, my very first border, I'm pretty sure was. I'm not gonna like go look at the history, but I'm pretty sure it was that Dawnbringer Riven. I bought the border thinking it was the
Irish
very first event. I'm pretty sure it was the order event, and
Mhm.
I bought the Riven border thinking it was gonna give me the skin, and it didn't, and I was devastated. I was so upset. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I just got scammed."
Damn. Rito, please.
For real. And then I re-rolled it, and then I ended up still getting the border, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So now I know how that works.
As
But,
if they're not making enough money.
Yeah.
Mungie.
Mungie.
The Mungies give it.
But yeah, I just pretty much just try to play the female characters and like the cute male characters. I ain't playing no Aatrox. I'll
Yeah.
play Set because he's a mama's boy, but that's like it.
Damn. I
I
bet Set also has the hots for Ezreal.
I think there's he's
Set's too full of himself. Set only has the hots for himself.
there's Spare Blossom canonically. He's with Aphelios
That tracks actually.
at
Sorry.
this track. Yeah. He calls Aphelios Mooncake and Spirit Blossom.
That's hot.
I was gonna say kinky? Question
Yeah.
I wish you could see that I muted myself for a second and just went, "What?"
mark?
Yeah, I know small little tidbits about voice lines. That's cool. I'm so glad I know that and not wave management.
Yeah. Not how to
Um,
get past gold.
Yeah, that's okay.
Dude, that's such a
Um,
vibe, though. Don't even sweat it.
So as you can see, like most of my roster is like ADCs and then mage, mid lane supports, and then
You
like
put a
an
lot of
occasional.
characters.
Yeah,
A lot of
I know.
main heroes, I should say.
Yeah, because they're Mastery 7, and then I put Valorant characters. I missed the memo,
Oh,
but
Jet.
I was like, "What champions are these?"
I didn't
It
even
was-
know this.
I
Yeah.
thought the theme of today was Riot Games, not just League of Legends. So
Yeah,
I put both.
Yeah, Killjoy is my favorite League champion, actually.
Yeah. But,
If
yeah.
it was all of Riot, we would have been real fucked because I don't even play TFT.
True. One of these
If it-
days, it's gonna happen. By the way, one of these days they're gonna put a Valorant hero inside of League, and it's gonna.
Probably.
Oh,
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
change
happen.
everything.
Well, wait, didn't they put
Ruination
Cilia-
and
I know, didn't they put Cilio in something or Silco in something?
I was like, who they put
He
Silco
was in
in
our-
TFT
Yeah, in TFT.
as like a
Yeah. Okay. Well,
a unit.
Yeah, and technically the two exist. Valorant and League exist in different universes. They've said, but
Yeah, because they had the Ruination
did.
event.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And they had like the connection between the
skins.
two. I mean, they could do like a multiverse thing somewhere
They
down the
definitely
line.
could. I mean,
And do like because
yeah.
it would be easy to fit like those characters into League. It really would.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's people that
especially
do
the-
custom skins.
Yeah, for real.
but those are illegal.
Uh,
Well,
no, they're not. No, they're not. I
definitely.
use them all
It's
the
a
time.
misinput. Misinput.
Oh my god. bad.
I just want to make my map Spirit Blossom theme. That's it.
I just want to go against the terms of service to make my game look pretty.
It's not against terms of service. They allow it.
It's not against
According
the
to
terms
their
of service,
website.
sweaty.
Silly.
Didn't they say any? They recently came out with a thing that said any third-party programs.
I think that was like, I don't know. They didn't
Because
really
you can get
reinforce
dinged
that.
for like Overwatch, or not Overwatch. The stupid Overwolf, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but I mean, like
that
it's
one.
I mean, I don't use Overwolf. I just use Professor, and they don't really get me for it because I mean, they said that as long as you're not using their own skins, like modding, like say you're using like the default Katarina, and you're modding yourself to get one of her skins that already exists, there's no real issue.
Whatever you
So,
say,
like,
Kitty.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'm gonna
listened to
report you.
it. I'm a
I'm
lawyer.
gonna report you.
I'm
and
a
we'll see
League of
what they
Legends
say.
lawyer.
We'll see what they say.
I'm a corporate mundo. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And then I have like a soft spot for assassins. So like I love Akali, Katarina, Kiana. I
Because
just can't.
Akali has a sick rap.
True. I just don't do good in them in lane. So I do really good in ARAM with them, but like I've gotten a pent on Katarina and Kiana in ARAM, but not in normals because I just don't know how to lane. Because I'm just so used to poking. But yeah, my playstyle, like I mentioned, it's like I try to poke them down and I try to burst them and just kind of wait for the jungler to gank to like help them or me get a lead. Because I'm just such a team player. What can I say?
Mhm.
Team
Like,
player in the league. That's a.
I
It's a
I
rarity.
actually get it a lot. Yeah, like I don't mind if the jungler takes all my kills as long as they just do something with it around the map.
That's
Yeah.
the gamble.
It's the gamble. That's why I don't really like playing Lux mid anymore. But that's okay. The best feature about the game? Cosmetics. They do really good cosmetics. It's just a shame that they don't really do collaborations like Smite does with like Avatar and Ninja Turtles. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. But the only thing they've gotten close to collaborating is the Ruination event, which was a flop anyways, so it kind of
Well,
looks bad.
you do have to. They did actually a crossover with. I mean, not to another universe, but they did do a collaboration with Louis
With the
Vuitton.
Coca. Oh yeah,
That
I
was
think it's more
fire.
like yeah, it was good, but it was so pricey. It was aimed for like people that were like rich and have like
Well, the Louis
Or-
Vuitton actual merchandising, yes, but there was also Louis Vuitton
skins. Yeah,
there was at least Kiana.
That skin is to this
it
day
is fire,
like
though.
that's I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it.
It's
But
so
then
good.
I
I have
have
it.
I'm waiting.
I have it.
You know
It's
what?
so good.
Kiana is hot girl shit. So I
Yeah,
hear it.
straight up.
So
They did the Arcane crossover.
yeah, but that's because it literally was League.
Right.
I
but
think,
also,
like,
I
if
mean,
it's
like
from
adding the
League
skins
to-
was cool.
It was cool. Yeah, I like that they gave them for free too. I
Yep.
actually really like that. That didn't put it behind a paywall at first.
Yeah.
And then
It's
the
kinda
bundle
Figured
wild.
you already had the paywall of Netflix, but I guess that also-
subscription.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's some paywall right there.
Yeah.
The paywall is Netflix. Did you know apparently they still did the CD DVD delivery? and
Oh
mail
yeah, they
service?
definitely do. Yeah.
And
They-
it's ending
they-
in September.
Yeah, I was gonna say they recently announced that they are going to stop doing.
It's because no one knew. That's why.
I don't think
I know
anyone
people
would
who
have done
still
it even
use
if they
it.
knew.
My mom still uses it. I'm not even fucking with you.
I mean,
Loyal.
honestly,
She's
like
so loyal. They should owe her.
just
no,
go to
she's
a
just
red
such
box.
a technophobe.
Legend.
My mom doesn't know how to work shit. She used to call me when I lived in Texas and be like, "How do I turn on the TV?" Mom,
I
I,
want-
am literally
Have you
5
tried
Mm,
plugging
there-
it in?
Very
I want her on the
carefully.
podcast.
My mom.
Oh, that
I
would
tried
be
to explain
great.
to my mom one time that when I was trying to like join and get actually good at League of Legends several years ago, and I joined like my school's team, my dumb collegiate
God.
team, and I was trying to tell her that I actually this was practice and like I need like I'm not just gaming, mom. Did not understand.
Ma'am.
Did not. But so I want to come back the collaboration with Louis Vuitton. I know that they did one. I think with Coca-Cola. I think you were about
Yeah.
to say Kitty.
Yeah, I got the bottle. I got the Ari bottle. You know it.
But they've done. I mean, they really have. They've done a couple of things. Obviously, they've. I don't want to really call this a collaboration, but they've had Funkos made. Like there's like
Oh yeah, I've got this too.
Yeah, and it's. I think they're doing the wrong collaborations.
I think it's like merchandising
Oh
collaborations that they're
yeah,
aiming for rather than like actual in-game cosmetic collaborations because it's not.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to make sure that all of their stuff is like I'm not sure. Like they can't really get in trouble for anything in the future if anything goes wrong. I
Yeah, and
guess
it's
in a
kind of
way.
weird because even Destiny 2 is doing collaborations. They did a Fortnite collab, they're doing an Arknights
Yeah.
collab,
Oh
and
yeah,
they
Well,
they
don't
they did it
usually
did.
with
do
Fortnite.
collabs. So it would oh well, they did the backwards Fortnite thing where they put
Yeah, with
put
like Arcane, yeah.
Jinx and yeah, which was cool, but
But
I
that
mean
was off of
imagine
Arcane. They wouldn't
yeah,
have
I
done
mean
that just with League.
League.
they could
Yeah.
make a shit ton of money with minimum amounts of work if they were just like, "Hey, yeah, like
Open up to
just
more
come and put your
companies.
characters as skins in our game." Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even
I
have to
wonder
be like
why.
full ass champion crossovers. It could just be skins.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
That or like, I mean, they could do so much if they just opened up and were like, yo, we're gonna do Summoner's Rift skins and we're gonna like
God,
theme
bring
it
that
after
back.
certain
Yes.
things. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I know. Like even if it's just in their own, like universe, they still did the mini game modes
Yeah.
where they just completely made a brand new map and designed it, and that was so fun and cool, even though I couldn't do the Star Guardian one because I sucked, but it was still fun and cool.
Yeah. I
Like just
remember
seeing something different. Like why didn't they implement those maps into the normal Summoner's Rift? I mean, they did it with
yeah.
Winter.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
people
there
will
was
do
that
it for free.
yeah, people always point to that Bilgewater like version of
The ARAM,
ARAM,
yeah.
which I mean, that was amazing. It looked great. And they showed us once upon a time, it was like a play test for a 1v1 mode or for like a certain mode. And it was like this volcanic area and it was one lane with like lava on either side of it that you couldn't go into. And it looked so cool and it just fell
It was like
apart.
a dual zone or something. Like
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like a 1v1 like kill shot like 500% crit zone. It was like insane.
Yeah. Well, and the wild thing about all of that is that that was around the time they were talking about like new game modes. That was when we still had Dominion,
Yeah.
a bunch of other shit, and then they got rid of Dominion, and then they got rid of their game mode team. They just got rid of them, and they announced this around the time. I don't know if you guys remember. It was last year. They released the new season cinematic, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, League is dying. This is the worst thing they've ever put out." There
Oh, that was this
are
year.
oh, was it this year?
It was
They were
this
like,
year.
yeah, it was like they were like there are companies of 3 people in China that are putting out better fucking cinematics than our game is.
Yeah.
Like the cinematic the cosmetics in our game kind of suck. It's the same shit over and over. And they had to come out and say, "Hey, we fucking fired our game modes team, but we hear you. We've hired more people and they're going to be working on it." And I don't think we've seen anything from that. I mean, I know it's only been a couple months, but I mean, what are you doing? Like it's the same shit that was here 4 months ago.
You know, probably unpopular opinion, but Dominion was my shit.
Dude,
Like-
I played the shit out of Dominion for like a month, and then I was like, okay, well, this is the worst thing I've ever played in my life.
It was probably more because I got shit on during that time in actual Summoner's Rift. So I was
Mhm.
like,
I
Dominion all day.
Rip Twisted Tree Line though.
That was really
Rip.
good. And I think probably one of the most recent game modes that's not one of the like internal changing, like stupid Earth. That's it.
Yeah.
Not even like one for all.
Nexus
That was
Blitz.
fun. Nexus Blitz was so fun. Like I
Doombot.
genuinely enjoyed that. And the
Bring
map
back
was so
Doombot.
pretty. I enjoyed doing like the 1v1s. I was like, oh, I hope I go up against this. And I'm like, yes. And then it's like an actual close one. Like that was genuinely fun. And then they just broke it and never fixed it. They admitted that they broke it and that they weren't going to fix it. So instead of
Yep.
fixing it, they're just going to do a new 1v1v1v1 game mode. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want Nexus Splits that has the 1v1 game mode in it, plus more.
Yeah.
Doombot.
So-
That's
I hear
all
you.
I gotta say.
I know that map or that game mode was so fun. And I also liked the Odyssey one. That one was super fun. Like it's PvE. It's not
Yeah,
PvP, but it's PvE. It's something different and refreshing knowing that I'm not going to go insane because the people I'm going up against are like I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm just going up against AI. I'm not going
Yeah.
against the most
mean, it's
awful
a-
thing and I'm still getting rewards for it.
Yeah.
Like, I
and
got a
PvE
free
is
skin.
cool. I think it's hard for Riot to nail down PvE in League of Legends because I thought it was cool that they put the time and effort into making that. I was actually really surprised when they did. I was like, wow, you're telling me Riot did this? But
Yeah.
the thing is though, is like after you play it a couple times, most people never played it again because it was cool for the spectacle, but after that, there's no fun to be had in hitting this. I
It
mean,
was more of like
essentially
a
like
grind
a
thing,
punching
yeah.
bag. Yeah, I mean, it's not fun going through and killing AI
But they
shit in
gave
League
you
of Legends.
rewards for it also. I think
Yeah.
one thing that they need to like really update is their bots, like with the AI training game modes, like the intro,
Mhm.
beginner, intermediate. I think they really need to change that and add more characters to it, you know? Like it's rare that I see some of these characters in the game. So they need to add the new ones because these people aren't ever gonna see Yumi. They're gonna see Yumi for the first time. They're like, why can't I hit her? Why she's there? Why can't I hit her? They're not gonna know because they never went up against her in a bot game.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think they did do a pass recently where they went through and they updated those bots though, didn't they?
I don't think so.
It was like maybe it was a couple years ago, but I
It
thought
was
they went
probably
through
a
and
good
they
while ago, yeah.
yeah, they
Because I
re-upped
mean,
the
like champions, I think they should at least have all champions be a potential opponent in the like intermediate for sure.
yeah.
And then like the intro, it's always gonna be Nasus Galio. Oh god, I wish I remember. I think it's Rise in the mid lane, and then Alistar, Ezreal. It's always gonna be them in the intro. There's no diversity, which is cool. They're pretty easy. And then intro, um, is like for the new people, obviously. And then you go to beginner. Introduce a little bit of the easier, lower skill characters, and just let them see that there's more characters other than just those 5,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
but I
see
also
what
think
they
it
do.
comes down to making the AI to be able to realistically play some of these champions. Like, can they do them? Yeah, because I'm sure they do. But I can imagine that the AI for a champion like, say, Katarina or Akali or Aurelia, where they have precise, uh, like who kind of play almost off a little bit of RNG, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a bunch of
How are they
characters
going to
have
be able?
different ways to play, right?
And you can at
Right.
least be able to see what they do. Like if you see a Kali for the first time, you're never gonna know what her Q or her shroud is ever unless you actually see her. And once you see her, it may be up against someone who's really good at it, and you're just absolutely terrified of that character now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I think Flynn is onto something where like I agree with you, Kitty, that like it's best to experience a character within like a bot game because then you know what's happening to them or like with them or whatever and you're not scared. But on the other hand, you definitely would need specific logic for certain subsets of characters. Like for example, an AI for Echo would need to be different than an AI from Ezreal because Echo's got the ability to flash back in time with his ultimate. There are different little contextual things you need to change per character. But I think the greater thing here is that I think that's kind of intended. I think League of Legends is one of those games where you really have to disconnect yourself from the idea that you're going to win every game. You're going to go into a game, you're going to get shit on, and if you're a new character for the first, I don't know, couple 100 hours, you're going to have games where you go in and you go across this character and you're like, holy shit, I don't know who that is, or I don't remember what he does. I remember the first game I went in against fucking Fizz, I got shit on so hard, I just immediately for the next 20 levels from like 10 to 30 was like, I never
Phantom
want to
from a
see this
Phantom.
character in my game. Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly. Back when the race to 30 took ages and ages and ages. And so it's one of those things where like I don't know, it's different. But that was also, even though I got shit on by those new characters, that was kind of part of the enjoyment for me, alongside being able to go in and be like, yo, this character Zed looks really fun, he's going to be the next one I'm going to work towards, I'm going to unlock him and I'm going to give him a shot, and then I'm going to end up hating him usually, but whatever.
Yeah, or I think like one way to counter that is at least to make every champion available bot games.
Oh,
So
100%.
that way you get that, like you're able to do it in like Overwatch training. Like you don't own all the characters, but you could still play them just to see what
Yeah.
they do. Or
Yeah.
like Valorant, especially like Valorant. If you go to training, you can pick any of those characters, see their abilities, see how they feel. But
Yep.
with League, you just have to like look at what they do and consider, oh, do I want to do that or not? And like go
I
based
think
on
they
that. But
solved
you
that
don't
though with
know.
the random champions or the random rotate or the
But you
rotating
have to
creature.
wait to see.
Yeah,
Like if
that
there's
but
doesn't
a
then you have
solve
to
anything.
wait.
Yeah,
like if there's
honestly,
a
Kitty, just
rotation where you don't
subscribe to
want.
Game Pass, okay?
I already have Game Pass.
Well, then
That
do it again, okay? I don't know what to tell you. You get every character with Game Pass and extra XP, so you have to
That's why
subscribe.
I'm such a high level. Because
honestly, that's the only reason
I XP.
That's honestly the only reason I really don't go back to League is because it's like, oh man, now I have to learn all these more, like 50 more characters since I last played,
you go
100
get
more.
everything.
But honestly,
Like,
that's the fun part though. When I ran out of new characters to play and learn, when I literally knew every champion like the back of my hand, I knew their name, their abilities, their ability names. You know how fucking in the trenches you have to be to know the names of every ability?
yeah,
When I was at that point, that was the point where I realized I need to find something else in this game that's going to be fun to me. And
Modding.
that's when you turn to that's when you turn to the competitive aspect, and you really learn really fast whether you can keep playing League or not, because you know you're like, the entire drive is to get my rank up, and if you're not someone that can push a ranked mode like that and just like lose points and gain points and go through the trials and tribulations, like
You mean me?
you're fucked.
Yeah,
You
the two of us are casual for fun players.
know. Oh, okay.
Like-
I literally said I was a filthy casual in the beginning of the
Like
game.
I'll do it every so often, but I'm not gonna spend like all day doing it. Like if I'm doing something all day, it's gonna be grinding the missions for the event pass because
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
care more about the event rather than the actual rank because I actually gain
Same.
something permanently. It's not gonna reset at the end of the year.
Same.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
How do you? I know that we got a little sidetracked again. You talked about the best feature being obviously cosmetics.
Yeah.
What you have a pretty strong feeling on the
tank
list
should
here.
not do that much damage.
It's like
Yeah.
literally the next three lines here is tank should not do that much damage. Nerf tank damage.
It's more of like when I hear a tank, it shouldn't be someone who can absolutely destroy me. It should be someone like Malphite, for example. Like if you go full AP Malphite, that makes sense because you're going full AP. But if I'm getting ulted by a tank Malphite and I'm still getting two shot by his ult Q, there's a problem. Because in my mind, he's there to be a tank and just to engage. Everyone else should be doing the damage, not him.
Yeah.
So why am I suffering the consequences of a tank doing infinite damage?
I think that's where they kind of they still have to revisit, maybe not
Yeah.
revisit, but like just like look farther into the whole scaling of everything. Because I feel like it's just not, like you said, it's not all there. Like a tank shouldn't be able to do that much damage if you're building a bunch of
Building tank,
defensive
but, like,
items.
Yeah, but if you're building the AP, it's expected because he's going AP. That's what he's focusing on, doing
He's
damage.
focusing on the ability power. But then you have champions that kind of blur that line a little bit, like Rammus, where you're technically not building.
Which makes sense because it's in his kit where, I mean, he has to
Where
do
the
some
more
kind of
armor you build,
damage in
the
a way.
harder you hit. Like, so you build one, you automatically get the other. It's not that case, but it's something you have to take into consideration when we're talking about quote unquote nerfing tanks. Where do we draw the line at tank? I've
Yeah.
absolutely seen Senna be the beefiest motherfucker on
Oh
the map.
god, yeah, no. Like I think it's just the items that kind of just do over what it needs to do for other characters. Like I've seen just about every person build one tank item for no reason at all and become the tankiest motherfucker on the planet. And I'm like, why? Like,
This
why
might
are they
be-
allowed to do this and get away with it? Like
Yeah, but I don't
Katarina.
think we can prevent. I don't think we can prevent people or prevent people when they play certain champions. Be like, you're playing Katarina? No, Heartsteel for you.
I think we
Like-
should. I think everyone should
I
have to
think we
build
definitely
one.
should because I mean they restrict you from building certain items as some characters. Like if you're,
Well,
I
it's
think if you're
jungle.
ranged, you can't build something. I forgot what it is, but
If you're
they restrict
Cassiopeia, you can't build boots.
exactly.
I think the Riot, but this might be a hot take. I think one of Riot's greatest mistakes was giving so much choice to the player. I think, obviously we talked at the very beginning of this
Like
episode
meta, yeah.
about player agency being super important, about being adaptable and such like that. But when you see these people who play tank and they're like, "Hey, give us something more fun," they broke the role of top lane into like smaller subsets. And so now tanks can do damage too. They're like melee, they're off tanks, they're bruisers.
Yeah.
And it feels weird to me because some of those top laners have insane scaling. It's not just the items, some of their abilities scale like fucking crazy with certain, different
Wow.
items and strats. And it's kind of weird that they had this defined role for a top laner, and it was that you are basically like a tank support. And support, some people hear that word and they recoil and they're like, if I want to play support, I go bot lane. But it doesn't work like that, right? A support covers a wide spectrum of gameplay mechanics, right? Whereas if you're
I
playing
would
like
argue that a jungle is also a support role.
oh, in some ways for sure.
Oh, yeah,
I
like
mean, everyone's
Ivern.
got their own support, right? But in top lane, your goal eventually is to just survive lane, is to play around your objectives and help your jungler, and it's to get to a point where you're good for team fights. But now, I mean, they've got top laners that are tanky and could fight, and it's like, why can every lane, every role do everything? I mean, what happened to ranged AD carry bot lane with a support to help them get through lane? The jungler, which was kind of like tanky or a DPS. I mean, you could pick between it because it's the most flexible role, where it makes the most sense. The mid laner could be any number of damage dealers that are squishy but can roam, and the top laner is the tank. I mean, you had it figured out. And then they were like, actually, we want to make it so that you can do whatever you want. If you want to run like a Gnar and run him total DPS, you can still be a tanky ass bitch and do damage. And that's just kind of
So
absurd to
then,
me.
like, why would you go tank anyways? Like, if you're able to do both, why would you ever go back to just one?
This is Cub's
Yeah.
argument for playing whatever the hell he wants support. He's like, if I want to, I'm going to play Olawi support. I'm going to play Wukong support. I'm going to play Pantheon support. I really don't care. And he will take literally any champion and he will play it support because he can get away with it. The parameters for support and multiple other lanes are no longer those parameters. I take Nico ADC all the time. People bitch at me about taking Nico ADC, and then I'm 9-1 and 3 before 12 minutes.
Well,
See,
I
and
think
I'm gonna go against you here. Sorry, JD. I'm gonna go
No, you're
against
good.
you here for a second, and I'm gonna say Nico ADC doesn't work in anything like higher than like high silver. Because at a certain point you hit a wall where it's like you are building like an ADC and your scaling doesn't work for that. You're not kitted to be an ADC. It's like not the gameplay philosophy for that character. I haven't seen
I don't
Nico
build for
scalings. I don't know
ADCs,
anything
I'm a
about
taker bot lane.
right. I mean, you could do anything else, but there's a certain point where you hit a wall, right? And that's
yeah.
something that I used to discuss with people a lot that were like, I'm hard stuck silver 2. What do I do? And I'm like, well, first of all, what you probably need to do is relearn the entire game because you're wrong about all of it. And that's not being like, and that's, not to you specifically, obviously.
No,
And
not at all. I don't
but-
think that.
right. And it's just a bunch of people have a very wrong, skewed idea of what the game is like. And so when they use that argument, they're like, well, I'll just go and do this wherever. It's like, okay, cool. It's working because you have 9 kills because you're playing against a kid with his helmet on too tight, like people use that as justification for things working. And I've heard it a lot, and I don't mean to shit on anyone's parade, but I will say that against people that have a halfway decent idea of what they're doing, most of that won't work. But there are some things that do work, specifically because Riot wanted to assert that you could do whatever you want, like the whole top lane thing. Why are they able to fulfill 2 spots?
Vayne top.
Well, I mean, Vayne top against a decent. Let me take a step back. So if you start playing weird things top lane, you're gonna fall apart against a halfway decent team when you hit the mid game because you start getting into team fights and you don't have a tank, and they're gonna shit on you unless you're ahead of them. Which obviously you have to play ahead. If you can play to your strengths, you can do that. Most people outside of like Plat don't know how to do that. And so it gets weird. But like, I mean, you play a character like like Set's a perfect example. Set is a tanky ass motherfucker, and he can go down and just like slam anybody anywhere, or at least he could on release.
Yeah.
Why is
like
that?
right
Why is that a
now-
thing?
I think right now he's in a good position, in my opinion, at least, because if you're going the tank set build, then if you're getting hit, then you take more, which is what he does and exerts it. I mean, all you really do is that one thing, but I think it's good for him. That's what
I
he
think it's
does.
cool. I think it's interesting as character design, but I think it's like the antithesis of the top tank role in itself. Why is there a tank whose entire purpose and identity as a character to take damage and then do damage? I mean, it feels weird. It just
Rammus?
kind of goes
With
against.
that's like with Rammus, it's kind of hard to like avoid it because you get taunted. But with Set, you could just stop hitting him and he doesn't do damage anymore, and then he's useless without it.
Yeah, and there's clear counterplay, which I agree with, and that's a big thing. And they've gotten better with that in recent years. I remember they used to be god awful at giving characters like valuable actual like counterplay. But Set is like this weird middle ground to me, where it's like you both encompass all that is good about League and all that is bad, because they want to take things to the next level so hard that they're willing to bend the rules for it. And when you do that, the meta kind of shifts and changes, and it's happened so much over the last couple years that League is just literally this fucking sandbox. It's like a husk of what it was at one point, because the point is gone. Now it's just you can do literally whatever the fuck you want outside of like the main objectives, like get towers, get Dragon, Baron, get CS. I mean, everything beyond that is player choice. And on one hand, that's fucking awesome. On the other hand, it's a balancing nightmare, and it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah. What I think it all stems from, honestly, when it comes down to it, is the items. Like if you compare, let's say HOTS, League, and Smite. Smite and League, they have items. Everybody's around everywhere. You can throw a champion in any lane as long as you're building the correct item. HOTS, you go by talents in every time you level up too, and that's also a game of shared XP and not individual XP. So whereas HOTS is doing talents and you're not exactly building stats, so to speak, you're not really, it's not as free as League, as we're
It's more of
talking
a team
about.
game. You
Yeah,
can't just individually screw up.
because you can't take Ragnar, a freaking healer, and go top lane and say, oh hey, I'm a tank now, because the talents aren't going to let you. The talents are only healing and pretty much movement, to where League you can be like, yo, again, I'm gonna take Set wherever the fuck I want and just shit on people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what though, and this comes from also an elo perspective, but when you're in cardboard elo, you can get away with this, and that's why I get away with Neeko. And yeah, I'm gonna hit a wall, absolutely. It's not gonna work anymore because I'm gonna get shut down
Yeah.
by other combos bot lane, other duos bot lane, that will just absolutely shit on me if I attempt to CC them at all. And that's what's gonna, I'm gonna eventually have to come out of that. But then I have pocket actual ADCs that when I actually decide to kick the chair and play some ranked, I have something that I can actually play that benefits the entire team comp.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this conversation is, I don't want to say hard, but difficult, since I mean, I know 110%. I am a filthy casual. I do stuff that I'm not supposed to do. I play champions where I'm
I
not
envy you
supposed to play
for it,
them.
honestly. I envy you.
And I've tried to be serious, but that's when the toxicity levels are just so unbearable that I can't do that to myself.
Yeah.
And so I have to still find the excitement in game, and that's doing bullshit like Neeko Wukong bot lane. Okay,
Oh, 100%.
because then I get into other games too, where it's like Aurelion Sol Tom Kench bot lane against us. Okay, like,
Cry. I'd be crying.
and so there's something to be said about, you're talking about adaptability. Adapt to that. Like, there's no way to get around just playing the game normally for the casual like myself. If I think I took the game more seriously, I think I would put more effort into making sure that team comps were balanced more. And I do play with people who are in significantly higher elos than me, and it still, I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as good as that, but having that, kind of ear stream in the back saying, this is what's happening in pros right now, this is what you can do, and this is the tip for it. I mean, it is that going to make me,
It's not gonna magically like make you the best knowing what the pros do because
Big-
you still have to understand
Yeah.
how the pros do it like that and
you
understand
still have to
oh,
do it.
this is why it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have to execute it. And let me tell you, as someone who, this is the only MOBA that I play, this is the only like PvP type game that I play. I literally play primarily Sims, casuals, and puzzle games. Okay. This is the only place where I really have to put a confident foot forward. And as an ADC and a mid laner, that's probably not the best role to go with. But I feel like because I'm put there because I play with my partner who is my duo bot lane, and they are a support. That's it. Just a support. Just that's it. Then I really have to put myself in the position where I have to pretend to get good.
Yeah.
Big
But
pretend there.
by the way, Chad, this is the point of the podcast where you guys are welcome to join in, voice your opinions in chat.
I was gonna
We'll
say, what part of
bring
the
'em in.
document are we at?
Yeah, like, well, I think I mean we're an hour and a half into this. That's a
Yeah, that was a
document. Exactly.
document. What's
I
going
kind
on?
of just threw that out after like the first 30 minutes, honestly. So if anybody wants to join and jump in the chat,
I mean, we did.
yeah,
we
but
talked
talking
quite a
about
bit now.
Scion.
Yeah, I mean, but we did. We started talking about MOBA genres, right? We started
Yeah.
talking about what's the difference between games like, we brought up HOTS just now. We're talking about Smite, which, my first introduction to Smite as a whole was on Xbox.
Oh
So
God.
Hot
let's
take,
just-
hot take.
yeah. Before I was a PC gamer, okay, so I had that moment where I was a filthy console gamer too. So like, please don't take my opinion seriously. Just don't. It's gonna be a bad time. So I think we're still sort of on this Google document. We're like, we're towards the end here. So while we're like ranting and raving, I think for those of you who have social plugs, not me, because filthy
Me either.
casual.
Wait, I didn't get my last part.
Oh yeah, other things you'd like to talk about, do it.
Okay, so one thing I do want to mention that is really looking good for League of Legends right now, and Riot Games is like a production hole, is their mid-scope reworks. Like the Nico, I just saw the Nico. Oh my god, it looks so fun. I'm about to have the most fun of my life as a Mastery 7 Nico player. I'm about to
Right?
rock the Rift as a little minion. I'm gonna have the time of my life.
Dang.
I
doing
can't
most
wait
of
till
them stuff.
I can't wait till Scuttle Crab confuse someone and be like, haha, bitch, and then go up and do it the same on top side.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun. Like, I think something like that was what League of Legends needed, just a little bit of random chaoticness that you weren't really expecting. But Nico's main issue originally was like her ult. If you hit the E and you ulted, they still would be able to flash out of it. And it would make me so upset. Even if I instantly hit the E, they still would be able to get out of it. But they changed it with the ult knockup. It was the best thing they've ever done for Nico. I think honestly they could have just left it at that ult thing and it would have been great. But they went above and beyond to save her with the new passive. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my god, this is absolutely like I think I'm about to play Nico for like the next month just because of how excited I am for her.
I love
And
it.
then they did the rework for oh god, who was it before? Who did they just rework also? I already forgot.
The
Nico
only
got me. I know they
They did that-
Syndra. Syndra. I know they did Syndra. Where
Did they really?
yeah, they did. Not recently, but like they did mid-scope
Oh,
reworker.
okay, yeah.
Sorry, she's the only one I could think of because I played it recently. They made it so like she scales and her with like her little I don't know what they call it, but her little stacks and like after a certain amount, you get 2 orbs at once that you can hold. That's really honestly, I think that was really good for her because I think one of her main issues was like once you use your 1 orb, you are out.
Yeah.
You'd just get collapsed on. But if you still had that second orb, you'd still have something to rely on.
You'd still
And
throw out.
and like she does true damage now and like other stuff. I
Yes,
don't remember,
because we need
but
another mid laner that does true damage.
I like
It's not
Warhammer
instant
better.
it's not instant
Middle
true damage. You
laner.
have to scale towards it.
Yeah.
And it's with her W. It's not like constant. Like once you
Oh, that's
get
good.
smacked by her W, it's not too bad. So you didn't even notice it. So it's not too bad.
Well, I don't see Syndra in
Yeah,
low elo because none of us plebeians are going to play something that technically complicated. Um,
God, I
like,
wish.
you want to know the last time I saw a Gwen top lane? Never. That's when. Okay. And
I
because
know
it's
there's
too
yeah.
mechanically complex. But we're the reworks, the Asol.
Hey, so that's who it was. We just played against him.
Well, Jesus, I hate it. I
It was
hate it because he is so unbelievably overpowered now, and I mean we're seeing it in low elo because it's just you. If you steamroll, it's over.
I think it was a mid ground of it's either he becomes so impossible to play as with his current quote unquote current as in his old kit,
Yeah.
or just make him a little too overtuned, but people enjoy playing him now and he's actually viable again. So
Yeah. Why
it's
don't they
like
bring back
a
my Zoe too?
wait, what did they do to Zoe?
I mean, when they first brought out Zoe, you looked at people and they died.
Oh yeah, and then like they changed it so the spells that she picks up are the most awful useless spells on the planet. It's like active items. Like, oh, I can't wait to use prowlers on someone I definitely don't want to use
Right?
prowlers on.
Like,
Like
why am I going to even use that as a champion? It's not going to help me do anything.
like I understand limiting what items you get because they become overpowered to an extent, but at the same time that kind of reduces the fun of the character in a way.
And we were just
Like,
talking about
yeah.
characters that introduce chaos. Bring me my chaos back. Let me have Flash 6 times in a row. See if I care.
Oh, that was so fun. I actually outplayed a Kane because I took his flash and just flashed away. He didn't do anything, and I was like, "Oh yay, my Dark Seal stack!" But like, it's like I'm so that's why I'm really excited to also see what they do with Rel because she's also and Skarn. Well, Skarner's like a whole VGU, but like
But
Rel,
Skarner people at least play
yeah.
Skarner off and on. Rel is dead.
I really hope that whatever like Aurelion Sol was dead, but then he became popular after the midscope. So I'm
Exactly.
hoping whatever they do to like I think Nico really wasn't very popular because of the way that they made her
Which is
originally, and now that they're
which is
doing a
weird.
midscope, I think she's gonna become popular again. But
Which
I'm
sucks because
hoping
now
that
people
what
are
it
gonna start banning my main champion. Fuck you guys.
I know, so sad. But I'm hoping that there's at least some kind of like counterplay. There's gonna be a ton of bugs coming out too. Um
Oh yeah, I can't wait
and
to find all of the. I mean, isn't I don't have PBE, but isn't the new Nico in PBE?
it is. Yes, I just haven't updated it,
Yeah,
sadly.
I just wonder what sort of things they have encountered. I
I
mean,
know one thing was like if you turn into a minion, you don't get hit by Syndra orbs or her E, which is weird.
that would be great.
I know it'd be great, but it was
They're
small
gonna
things like
fix it,
that. And then
obviously.
like if you were a ward, I think you could still do something with the vision along the lines. I don't remember, but like she's fun. So I'm hoping they do something really good with um Rel because I really like Rel as a support. Like when I have Rel supports, I have the time of my life. We get kills in the bot lane. We have fun.
I like Rel's concept. I think as a character, I think her lore, I think her look, um, is also really important. Because
They
she's.
just have to, yeah.
I feel like, and this is going to be. I don't want to get political about it, but there's a little bit of the natural hair, which gives her the person, more of the people of color aspect, which I know that League is trying to push that, as no, I don't want to say as an agenda, but they're trying to show that like, oh yes, we don't
We
just
have
create
diversity.
white
Yes,
boobs
we have
women,
diversity. Just make a skin with someone
right?
like that, you know? You could do that.
Right, instead
Like
of like
Senna. Like Senna has all those unique hairstyles. And I'm
mhm,
like, oh my god. This is actually like I think she actually ended up getting a little bit of curly hair in the Halloween skin. And I was like,
mhm.
is this
She had
even
natural hair.
Syndra? Who is this? And then or not Syndra, Senna. And I'm like, oh, that's actually really nice. I actually really like that.
I like the representation that Rel brings in her type of character, not just in skin color, not just in whatever, but I think in her canon, she's a very well designed character, but her move set is trash, and she
Yeah,
doesn't have
like
to
once
be.
you go in, there's no way to get out, which kind of sucks. I think if they just fix that problem, I
Especially
think she's pretty useful.
yeah, and especially with, I mean, besides the fact that she has no way to get out, she's literally hindered from getting out.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's a really worse version of Blitzcrank, and
Yeah, and then like I hope they do something good with her ult because now that her ult is on Aurelion Soul like Q,
yeah,
like for, like, what's the point of Rel anymore if her ult is now on a common ability? So
Another dead champion that they've recently, I feel like, came out and just immediately flopped was Renata.
oh
Speaking of
yeah.
having Renata in the last game, I remember Cub used to play Renata quite a bit, as my support for a while, and it worked for a minute, and then it just didn't. She just fell off. So I think that she could use an upgrade as things get adjusted. You know, Cubs tried out Milio as much as possible, but
Oh, I
he's
love
just
Milio.
not applicable for all of the champions.
Yeah.
There's not a huge reason. I mean, there is a huge reason for players like Kate or Jin or um, Aphelios. That makes sense, but does it really make sense on uh, MF? Does it make sense on Kog'Maw? It's we have to look at all the champions, even though they're trying to play into the meta, what people are playing.
Yeah.
I feel like they made champions and then forgot about them because they weren't well received. Rel received.
That's messed up. I know, like, whenever TFT first got announced, they also had Kiana at the same time,
Yeah,
and there was nothing on Kiana. Like, she got a cinematic, and that was it.
it. Yep.
Everyone was there for TFT, the newest game from League of Legends. So Kiana kind of just got overlooked, and she was super complicated. So it was hard to pick her up unless you took a lot of time to figure her out. Period. So I feel like stuff like that shouldn't, like, I think they figured that out, that should not ever happen again. Like, if you're gonna release a game, do not release a new champion.
At
But
the
I think
same time,
there was a I think they like kind of altered it with the Valorant with Neon and Zeri, where it's two similar characters but they're not the same, and they kind of, I'm not sure why they did that specifically. Like, I guess it was for the, I'm not even sure why they did that. I think they just did it for fun, because I don't really know any correlation between Zeri and Neon other than fast electricity. I think they were just testing it out to have a little bit more of a connection to League of Legends, I guess.
maybe. I mean, and not necessarily cross game platform, but there was also, the last time that they released two champions at the same time was Zaya Rakan.
Oh god, I miss that. Legends.
And so I don't know if they can just keep getting away with that. Like, they pushed it initially, right? They had Kindred, and they're like, oh shit, Kindred's two champions, or it's two entities.
Yeah.
Oh god, and then they just kept pushing that button.
Yeah, I think the last big one was Zion Rakan. I think it's good that they kept it unique to them, that they're able to do things together, their abilities interlock with each other and
Hmm.
go off of each other, but at the same time, it's kind of like hindering because they're not using their full potential all the time. Like, if
Right,
Zaya
Mhm.
Rakan
was
is
able to,
useless without Zaya.
like, if they gave that W Zaya passive where, like, Rakan also gets attack speed on, like, this normal support that you get every game, I think that'd be kind of cool, you know? Like how Nyla has, like, the XP sharing, so the support also gets a little bit of something too. I
Also,
think
what
that's
happened to
kind of cool.
Nyla?
Oh god. Star Guardian, that's what happened. She was overlooked by the Star Guardian event because there were just so many better skins
But I
that
mean, I
Nyla
don't see her in
didn't really.
game
Oh,
ever.
I don't know. She's fun to play. I think I ended up getting a pentakill on her in ARAM too, but she's just really hard to play and master. Also,
A lot
like
of people have
Aphelios
said, "Oh,
was.
right," and now Aphelios, I see him
Like,
all
it's
the
every
time.
once in a while. Like, you'll see someone and they're really good at it because they're just really good at it. They know what they're doing.
Mhm.
I definitely get that, and I mean, that's always going to be the one tricks, right? The ponies that just do the same
Yeah,
champion.
you can't really
Yeah,
avoid it. There's no
yeah,
way to, like, out them out in stats to figure out, oh, is this character actually, like,
a one.
needing a buff or a nerf or yada yada. Like, they nerfed Rakan for his armor, but the thing is, he's an engaged champion. He kind of
Yeah,
needed it.
yeah. He is the hook to start team fights, and again, he's also honestly not as powerful as he needs to be a support without Zaya. At least Zaya can stand with other support.
Yeah, as long as, like, the support has, like, a root, a CC of some kind,
Yeah,
she's pretty much fun, in
golden.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
I don't think she needs the extra, shield buff or heal buff. I don't think that really helps her. Um, if you have like press the attack or something like that, or make sure that you have movement speed or Phantom Dancer or something. I think that getting close enough to your target is fine. I don't think that Rakan's ultimate is worth his kit is not worth
Like,
taking him alone.
in my opinion, when I've played with plenty of Rakans. Like when Rakan W's, I can ult off of that. I don't really need his ult also because the W is just enough if he hits both of them. That's all I need, and I like one shot them pretty much.
Some of
But
that kind of goes back to like the whole
items
yeah,
scaling.
the item scaling, just the whole one trick low elo kind of stuff. So how is Riot collecting sufficient and correct data if people are saying, looking at these new patch notes and going, oh, I could break the character doing this, and then all of a sudden everybody's doing that, and then Riot's, receiving this, not accurate info because everybody's just kind of trolling on a character, and they're like, oh, we need to change this, but then again, it's gonna fuck it's gonna fuck something else up. So it's like it goes. There's a lot of factors when it comes to, again, item based games, as far as just kind of everybody's general play style, as far as if they're playing to play, if they're playing to rank up, or if they're just playing to fucking troll the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good ending, the more fun ending.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I mentioned it earlier how I envy Flynn for pretty much being able to play casually for fun and just have the time of his life, and I'm like,
Oh, don't get it wrong. His mental is completely fucking gone.
But I feel like the less you know about League of Legends, the more fun you have, in my opinion. As long as you're not going up
No, I
against
totally get
like
that.
the most OP people that know the character like back to hand. But like if it's just like casual for fun, like you're going up against people that you belong against, and you're just having the time of your life.
That's my biggest thing. Just being a competitive person is like I'll do some regular games every now and then, but it's always in the back of my mind is like, if I'm not playing competitive, why am I playing the game? And that's just me as a general person. And then
I could never think that way.
Cub's the same way. No, Cub is the same way, and because games are my decompression from such a stressful daily life, like just who I am and what I deal with on a daily basis. Like I don't want to spend I don't want to
more time stressing out
on fucking having, oh god, I have to play my games today because I gotta make sure that I stay Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Bars.
Well, I mean, at
pushing your
that point, if
glasses
you're
up.
Grandmaster, it's probably your job. But my point is, it's also why I left graphic design field. It's because I enjoyed doing graphic design for fun, and then when I had to do it as a job and art had to be on demand, I was like,
no thanks.
nope,
Yeah,
hard pass.
Yeah.
So playing League for fun is really important. Like I said, it's the only MOBA that I play. I have to. You know what I just realized too is I'm using my customer service voice. Why did nobody call me out?
Because
I was just going
so
with
gradual.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
It was okay. Well, so here's customer service voice. This is where I want to talk. This is where I started out the beginning at, and it's something that I have to just think about. Spoiler.
Because you started talking about your job, so you just kind of like transitioned into that.
But to kind of add to that, yeah, I mean, for the longest time, especially with League, I was in the same boat. I would have friends come and be like, hey, you want to play? And I'm like, I honestly, there's no reason for me to be playing this game if it's not ranked. I'm not gaining anything. I'm like, what's the point? And for the longest time, I could only see that way. And the last couple years, there was a point where I realized in the middle of a game, I was playing a Valorant game because that was the fucking comp I was addicted to at the time. And I was like, why am I sacrificing my mental health like this? Why am I beating myself up over these dumb fucking teammates? Why do I care so much about these virtual internet points? I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And after that, I literally took like 8 months off from multiplayer games in general. 8 months. And when I came back, I only played like co-op stuff. And now I'm kind of back into it a little bit. Like we'll play some Valorant games here, some, anything that's like for funsies. But I haven't played an actual competitive mode in any game since. And it's because I think I reevaluated my relationship with video games to a healthier place. Because I think a lot of people really do put a lot of worth into that, those internet points. And for me, it's League's fault. It 100% is, because League sells this narrative that if you play all the time and if you get better, you can be cool as fuck. You can get all of the honeys and you can make a shit ton of money playing in fucking esports up on stage in front of all these people. And it was fucking rough. It was super rough. And just disconnecting and finding that place with video games again where it's healthier, it's different, it's better. It really changed a lot about how I view video games. I think it's healthier now, but again, I think some of the games really do try to sell you on that. They get you addicted on this idea of like what you could be, about how cool it is to actually have it. Like, and I'm not sure there's a game that's done it better than League did.
Yeah, I mean, it's total. 100% disclosure is a whole nother topic, but like, just the like drive for competitive in general. But like, I don't know if you remember. I think it was Black Ops 1 back in the day too.
Oh,
it's like if you got to Masters Plus, or not Masters, whatever was after Masters, like you would basically more or less get a personal invite to the qualifiers of CDL that year or some shit like that. Yep. So it's like there was a reason to do that, but now it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm immortal, so what do I do now?
Yeah.
Now I have to actually manage myself as an esports player. Like I have to do work for myself. Yeah. What is this shit?
Well, that was like back in the yeah, well, like back in the League days, you would play in. I mean, so the way League used to work back when I was a coach is they would take the top, I think it was like 10 or 20 teams from the ranked 5v5 leaderboard who had the most overall points in like the middle or the end of the season, and they would give you an invite to the NA Open Qualifiers, NACS Championship Series, and you would compete in this one-off bracket where you would just play games against people, and then you would, if you won, you got to get into the NACS, and if you got into the NACS, you got to compete for a spot in the LCS. And it was the same thing where a bunch of fucking kids were like winning these games because they were freaks at this video game, and then suddenly they're esports pros, and Riot's like, well, here's a stipend for a house and all this different shit, and it's like, what? But the thing is, though, is that's so fucking, it's so predatory too. It really is in a lot of ways, because you see that you're like, oh my God, that kid's like a fucking dumbass high school kid and he's making thousands of dollars playing video games. How do I get there? And it's like, I don't know, man. That reminded me of how fucking predatory the League scene used to be back in the day, because there was nothing in place to help these people or to like situate these people. And you would have situations all the time where orgs would pick up these new budding like players and either make them sign really predatory contracts, or they would bring on the team, and as soon as they got a spot in the CS, they would drop everyone and go get like actual pro players and bring them in. And man, that's a whole episode in itself. What an awful era in esports.
Yeah, dude, that was oh man, old esports politics was wild.
Yeah, well, and I want to make one more point going back to the competitive thing. So Fox in chat, he mentioned that there was a time when he had a hard time playing competitive games with me because I'd get super competitive and angry. And I feel like most people kind of follow that if you're into the competitive grind, right? If you are good at it, you have this inkling in your brain. You're like, you know what?
You have an edge.
I have to win. You're like,
Yeah, the sharp edge brain. Yeah.
Oh, exactly, right? And so I would get into a game, and I've been a competitive gamer for over a decade, and I'm pretty fucking good at it in a lot of ways. And Fox was absolutely not. And we'd get into these games where, being that he's a casual gamer and I was a fucking hardcore edgelord, I would fucking fly ahead
Edgelord.
and he would fall behind sometimes, and I'd get pissed. And that was another thing where I just noticed, I'm like, why am I getting mad at my friends playing a video game?
Yeah.
What is the overall benefit here? And it's I honestly, to extrapolate it, I don't want this to turn into a whole thing because it could be an episode.
No, I think it literally should be because
and it should.
Because but it's true because I have this issue with my partner. We
Yeah.
are desperate to play games together, and this is the only game we have because I can't stand the rest of the super
Yeah.
aggressive,
Yeah.
mind melting, gotta Path of Exile spreadsheet type games. I just can't do it.
Yeah. No, I 100% get that. It's true. There's a certain level you can go as deep as you need to. I think as long as you temper expectations and stuff, you can do whatever. I mean, we could literally sit here and talk about this for 2 hours, but my assertion, and for something that I'd like to talk about in that episode, is that I think the rise of competitive game modes in games like these has led to the fucking death of so many things that made gaming special to begin with. I think the reason gaming is where it is right now is because a certain subset of gamers took it too seriously, got too attached by no fault of their own, but by fault of the gaming industry and the rise of the free-to-play game, and ended up being the loudest vocal minority on the internet in that sphere. And it turned all these games into needing to have competitive things, to needing to have crazy balance, to have all this different shit. And it turned into all these games being bounced around those people. And so, it's Call of Duty is like the greatest fucking offender here. Their game has changed entirely because I hate to quote the fucking losers on the internet, but they cater to the sweats, and it ruins the game for the everyday player. And now every game is this free to play bullshit that's not finished, that's just shipped out here because they know the fucking sweaty kids will come in and play their ranked mode and buy their skins and be good to go. And I really do think if we can attribute a lot of the shitty industry that we have today to ranked competitive promises of grandeur in these fucking video games. And I think as much as I love League of Legends, and as much as I think it is an important game, and honestly like one of the most influential games of all time, I think it single-handedly played a large part in that.
Oh, 100%. No doubt.
I'm playing a really large part of my life right now.
What's that?
I said, do you want to know what's playing a really large part of my life right now?
What?
Hunger.
Oh my god.
That's why I ate beforehand.
Yeah, we are actually really close to the 2-hour mark. Holy shit, guys.
That's why I was like, yo, fam.
Yeah, we have this is kind of what I wanted, and going back to Kyle's point too, is like the ranked players, professional players, like they're more or less the deciding factors in most of these games, and this is more or less going to be the point of EXP share, is getting casual voices heard to like, no, we're still gamers too. We still pay 4K for fucking League. we want our opinions still listened to as well. So that's kind of what we're going for here. But it was great to talk to you guys. Much appreciated. Let's go ahead, give out some social plugs. Flynn, go ahead.
I don't.
You don't have
pick two
anything?
people that don't stream.
Yeah,
well,
it's cool.
Discord, Twitter, whatever.
I don't want people on my Discord.
I don't want those people.
Okay, they can have my stuff in place of all of theirs. I'll push it 3 times as hard for everyone else. You can go.
I was gonna say I would absolutely post my Discord in chat. But what is the stars? What are you doing, Kyle?
I'm what?
He is
granted moderator privileges.
There we go.
Oh, do I not have?
Yeah, hold on. There you go.
Is it out there now?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, you can find all my stuff there. I'm Kyle XCVI and everything, but sometimes I put a little fucking underscore because some people took Kyle XCVI and then sat on it for 10 years. 10
Wow.
fucking years. It's insane, and I'm never gonna get it. But you can find everything right there.
Oh,
What a
God,
bunch
you
of
can
shitties.
stream
Shit.
and Chowder. If I don't know if J-Dog has a link to my Discord, but my Discord is Vault 9. We descended into the vault at the beginning of COVID, and we have not left. Dear God. Vault 9 is just my Discord channel where we play games together and talk about stuff, and we respect each other as human beings, but talk like we have the mouths of sailors. So if you want to join us, you can. You can also find me on League of Legends at Flynn's Arcadia, should you feel like playing with a plebeian like me. I also play, like I said, a lot of single player games, VR games, and I don't stream because I don't have the discipline to do it for more than like 3 weeks at a time.
Oh, mood.
Feels.
It's worse on the other side of the spectrum, I promise. I do it too much. I can't stop.
Are you
It's
going to do
like
that right after this?
But
Probably.
yeah, that's it.
it's a love-hate
gonna set some shit
relationship.
up, and I'm gonna go do it. I mean, there was a year where I did it every day for a year.
That's way too intense for my brain.
Yep, at
Lee, what are
least
your
8
socials?
hours every day.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, you
Actually,
circles.
I'm totally down to play. I'm thinking of playing Minecraft Legends after this.
Oh shit!
Kinda
Not
wanted to
gonna
try
lie.
that too, I'm not gonna lie. I got a copy of it at work, and I was like, "Oh wait, I have so many games to play, like Cult of the Lambs, Legends Arceus, Mage Seeker." I was like, "I
God,
can't add another one."
I still need to play Cult of the Lamb. But if I don't put food in my mouth in the next like 15 minutes, I may become a zombie. I may
Mood.
be patient zero. So, Kitty, what are your socials? Home skillet.
It ain't my social, but stream Joji.
Dang.
Also, fun fact: they took down the "How much have I spent in League of Legends" site down, so I actually can't tell you the updated amount.
Oh,
You can
Right.
check on Valorant now. They have
Yeah,
like
you
a
can check on
support.
Valorant, but we got Valorant for the sacrifice of League of Legends, I guess. I don't know. Sounds
Yeah.
sounds per usual.
Yeah.
The last
I
time
will.
I checked, at the end of last year, or around my birthday, I believe. I was under $1,000, so I feel okay. But that was the last time I checked. I don't actually remember that was. Honestly, that could have been 2 years ago. So fuck it.
I have 1,500 in Valorant alone, and in League, I think I had like 3K. Last I checked.
Queen Chowder # give Flynn food. Exactly. You
Straight
guys,
up.
I'm gonna be patient zero. I gotta go.
But
Yeah.
thanks everybody for coming by. We appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by for this episode of EXP Share. We're gonna be doing this pretty often. Keep an eye on J-Dog socials and my own to learn when we're gonna do it, what we're gonna be doing it for. JD, are you gonna be live after this by chance?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go live with some Minecraft Legends or some. I don't know. Maybe unless you want to do
Bet.
some duo stream, some weird ass game I haven't probably touched in a year. I'm down for whatever.
I'd be down for that at some point. I have to implement a bunch of new stuff tonight, and then we're doing TV night at like 9. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up having time, but I'll probably maybe also be live at some point. If not tonight, then tomorrow. But
Who are you
what we're
kidding? You're
saying
gonna be
here,
live at some point.
at some point. So
Once a year.
if you're here and you're hanging around, make sure you stick around for JD's Minecraft Legends stream. It's gonna be a good time.
For sure. If you guys miss any of that, everything's posted in the Discord. We'll keep that updated with the next location and date for the next podcast. Hopefully, going to be
Location?
with.
Yeah, on
yeah.
site.
Going to Korea.
If
Can we
only.
do it from Disneyland?
Field trip.
Disney.
Only didn't land.
Disney World.
We're
But
going to Epcot.
no, we're gonna make some official channels. So I mean, I'm not stuck streaming this on /JDogging for God knows how long, because that doesn't look very good on anybody. So look out for YouTube or Twitch link, or probably both, for EXP Share on the Discord. That's pretty much where all the updates are going to be. Probably from me or Kyle, Twitter, whatever. You'll see something. Somebody will notify of something. All right, that's basically the general consensus here.
You'll know.
You'll
The
know.
bat signal in the sky.
Exactly. Thanks again, Flynn and Kitty, for joining us. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, we shot for an
Wait,
hour and
I
we
do
went.
have a link to advertise my Google Slides.
Oh, there
Oh my
you go.
God.
Oh no.
If you want to
Gotta
see
pull it
how
up.
many 4K of skins. And
I
No,
want to
I
disconnect
have-
so bad.
Chat, you should feel so thankful for me. They had like a 15-minute video, like a slideshow of Kitty skins and a Valorant
Can you
clip they were
permit
going to
me?
show
I
in the
have a link to
beginning.
post.
And I convinced him not to show it. Because
was
I
a
was
good-
like, this is cringe as fuck, I promise.
it was a
Well,
good
it was also
minute
because
and
I
a
didn't have
half.
anything, but that's fine. I
Uh,
want to leave chat so bad right now, y'all.
Oh,
No,
Permit
you're
me.
you're good. Go
can
get
go
food. Yeah. Again, info on the Discord. Thanks guys for joining us. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.